Alright, let's call the meeting to order and start with roll call.
Okay, Mayor Manning,
Here.
Brenneman,
Here.
Kill,
Here.
Monahan,
Here.
Jones,
Here.
and Glanzer is absent with notice, and Nelson said he'd be late.
Alright, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have a motion for the minutes of 9/17/2019.
Motion to approve. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and Bill submitted for payment. First item up, special event application for Witches and Warlocks Wine Walk. Come on up.
Okay, good evening, gentlemen.
Oh,
I did try and call most of you. I think I missed a couple, but my excuse is my grandchildren hate my homework. I couldn't find my list, so I called who I didn't, so I apologize if I didn't get a hold of you. But what we are asking is November 1st, we want to have a Witches and Warlocks Wine Walk, which would include closing off First and Main and from the South Bar to 2nd Street, basically. And what our plan is for a $20 entry fee, we'll have a wine park, and then they get a commemorative glass, a glass of wine, a bowl of chili, and a punch card. And what the punch card does is they go to each participating business, and they get a sample of a different wine at that business. And then at the end of the night, they turn in their punch card if they visited every business, and then there'll be a door prize of some kind for them. And then there's also some contests for best witches and warlock costume and stuff like that. So, and then we also are having pumpkin bowling, and so there'll be a prize for pumpkin bowling as well. So just kind of a fun event to get everybody together, and an adult evening. The kids have had Halloween, and so now it's the adults' turn. So if you have questions for me, or
thanks, that's fun. Any questions?
Is that a Friday?
it is a Friday street, yeah.
I should have looked, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I assumed it was.
Yeah.
And you can handle the age part of it with wristbands and some of those
Yes,
things?
yeah,
Okay.
it'll be controlled at the gate with the wine park. I'll have to have a wristband to get in, and then when you go to each business, we'll have to look at the wristband and make sure they have one.
Make sure I have it. Okay. Craig, any issues at all?
No, we'll make sure we got the barricades out for them and stuff like that.
Okay.
The one thing we did want to request also was if we could use the fire barrels, and I'm not really familiar with, I mean, I know what they are, but I don't know if that's your department, or if we have to have special permission to use those, or, because we're guessing it's gonna be chilly out.
Would that be the Hartford Hometown Christmas Committee that's in charge of those, or is that? the
We
city?
actually own them, so,
Okay.
yeah, we've got 2 of them, so. That's, won't be a problem either. The only thing is, if you're to make them have a cover on them or something like that, we don't have a cover for the actual bird, so.
And we did get insurance for special event insurance for this evening as well. So we're covered in that way.
Other questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'd make a motion to approve and waive the fee.
Second.
Thank you.
More discussion? Vote. Monahan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yep.
And Keel.
Yes.
Alright.
Thank you very much.
Bet.
See you there.
Yep. should
We
be-
need a committee
sounds
to
like a
run
nice
the
night.
pumpkin bowling, if
Pumpkin
anybody
bowling.
wants to volunteer.
Do I have to dress up as a witch?
No, warlock.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Well, you could.
Alright, we're at 7:05, so we're right on time for our 7:05 hearing, special event application and alcohol license for Buffalo Ridge Brewery.
Hi, thank you. So, this is the request for our first anniversary.
Yeah.
Can't believe that we're already that far along in the year, but, So we will be doing things on Thursday and Friday, but this is specifically for Saturday. We're hoping to close the street, from First and Main to our back alley, just First Street there, the south side of our building. That way we can have a food truck there easily, or if we decide to do that. And we also have a couple cool things coming along, some couple fun things for, guests and families and stuff like that we'll have parked over there. Also, if the weather's decent, fingers crossed, and we'll put some team type boards out there and have that as an opportunity, as well as asking for the permission for our sidewalk property, and then of course the closed street for open container in that area.
Sure.
My only question, and maybe it doesn't apply, on the application, it says circle which one applies to your organization for the on sale or on and off sale. So RL or RB. Just wanna make sure that the document is correct,
Yeah, we all better, so RV, yeah.
so RB, just make sure that we circle that
Okay.
for legality reasons, the only thing I caught.
Yep.
Make a motion to approve the application for special event permit as amended with that recommendation. Yes.
Thank you, sorry.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Now we'll vote. Are you ready, Nelson?
Yeah.
Alright, Nelson.
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Brennan? Yep. Jones?
Yes.
And Mylan.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So I think I'm the next one on as well, as far as the downtown market.
You are.
So, I would just ask for an adjustment of the date, the last date in October, it was scheduled for October 31st, which is Halloween. But it'd be fun to do it on Halloween, it sounds like probably most of the vendors wanna be with the kids. Probably a lot of the community's gonna be at the school gym and out doing things, so we were hoping to move it to the week before, October 24th. Everything's still the same as far as the street closure, open container, that kind of thing, just changing the date out, if that would be okay.
Okay, you see any conflict with that?
I guess I don't know. That'd be fine.
Has it been working all right with the seniors with bingo? I haven't heard anybody,
I haven't had any feedback.
everything's been fine?
Quick parking and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
'cause of- yeah,
Yep.
yep.
Yep. Alright, do we have a motion to approve the special events permit?
I'd make a motion to approve to move the October date up 1 week to October 24th.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion? Vote, Brennan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Keel?
Yes.
And Nelson?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Don't forget bingo's on November 2nd, I'm the guest caller. That's brewery.
I think it would be interesting sometime to have, and maybe you'll have a tally of this as you get to your first anniversary, but I'm curious how many different events you've had hosted, whether it's from the brewery, and then also from downtown Inc.
Right.
And some of those different really what I'm looking for is how many downtown events have happened in the last year since you guys moved in?
Right.
Because, I just would like,
Out of
I think it'd be very interesting.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sure,
That'd be good info.
I could pull some numbers and look next time I see you. We're hoping there'll be a lot more.
Well, I think it's going well, yeah,
Yeah.
we appreciate it, thanks for all the effort,
Thank you.
Alright. If we wait just a second, we'll be at exactly 7:10 for 7:10. Alright, there we go. Alright, we got our 7:10 hearing for the transfer of the retail on-sale liquor license from the American Legion to 120 Main Events LLC. Anyone representing?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Garner Hanson, the owner of 120 Main Events LLC. And here to answer any questions you might have.
When did you take ownership? Or when will you, or have you?
Well, yes, I have, yep,
Yeah, okay.
yes, I have, yep.
Yep.
I believe me and Darwin and Greg sent papers on the 20th, I think, 21st.
Okay. Can we ask like what your plans are?
Do events,
No?
you know, weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, we've already had several people call and it's kind of spread pretty fast. We've already booked a graduation in there, a wedding for next August already, got a wedding this weekend, got a wedding on the 12th.
Good.
So, yeah, and we got something with the city on,
We
Hearing,
get that?
public
Oh,
hearing,
yeah.
yep.
No?
yeah, so, yeah, so once we actually start to advertise, I can't wait to see what happens.
That's a pretty good start.
Yeah, not bad, we'll take it.
Yep. Any questions on the transfer again of the liquor license? Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Alright, we'll vote. Keel?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yeah.
And Brennan?
Yeah.
Alright.
Thank you guys.
Absolutely.
bet.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Teresa, just one question, as I look at this, application, and it's just, transfer is $150, and then the, amount of fee collected is $170. Help me understand, the $20, is that just
It's the publication fee.
the publication fee? Okay,
Yep. We have to publicize any
Yep,
liquor
yep.
fee or something, yep.
okay, very good, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you. Alright, next up, we got the city engineer report.
Well, I don't have any action items, don't have any real updates in the report, besides we had to reschedule the ribbon cutting on Vandermark Avenue to Friday. They just didn't get enough accomplished last week and be able to host that event. We talked to them about, getting ready for this Friday. Obviously, the weather's kind of been from getting anything done right now. They feel they need about a day's worth of dry weather to get that shaped up and finished, so.
Sure.
As soon as it dries out, they said they'd be there and, get it filled in. Basically, they just have the topsoil to put in. The seeding operations won't happen until probably mid-October, because we can't have them seed that too early for fear of it germinating too early and freezing off. So they'll do what they call dormant seed, and they can't start those operations till mid-October, so, which is right around the corner.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
We don't have a very good track record with seeding, so maybe we don't do it the way we normally do it.
You don't have a good track record, you said?
Well, we've had some trouble. If you look at the last 12 months with our seeding policies, we've got some issues.
Well, the first phase down there on that project came in pretty well.
I think it's citywide.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't have anything to update you folks on.
Why'd you put pin stakes in my yard? I have 2 stakes in my yard.
Did we reset your pins?
I have no idea.
That's probably what it was. I know they had to reset some pins along there that got wiped out during the construction.
I'm just curious, I think when we came home,
We just moved some.
I thought, did somebody sell my house all of
You stole some more of your.
I've been gone a long time, maybe somebody sold my house.
That's what it was.
So you did?
Yeah, no kidding. So they already cashed the checks, I don't know.
Been gone for a month and you literally come back and we veer right into your own personal property at 7:15. After a month.
15 minutes, I
I was
waited
sure you were
15
still
minutes.
be.
As soon as Mitch walked in, I wanted to ask him, God, it's been driving me crazy.
14 minutes.
That's it, that's all.
Alright, perfect.
My only other comment regarding the Vandermark is, again, we talked about street sweeping and tracking stations, and somebody came up with Ninth today, and there's no tracking station, and so there's mud clear down Ninth onto the Colton Road, and, we always use the weather as an excuse for anything, but if the right things are in place, we're gonna minimize those other things.
We'll tell. I didn't realize they didn't have the tracking station, and they should have that on the end of there so they can get that. That helps a little bit with knocking the soil off the tires, but even with those, they'll still get some tracking coming in and out. I'll talk to them when it was installed.
It's real close, I mean, but
Yeah,
it's a mess right now.
sorry, I didn't even,
Is that where they're tearing it up to get it shaped? Is that down the far east end of it up there?
Well, they came off the east end, yeah, headed east, yeah. I don't know what they've been doing down there today, for sure.
Looked like they took a loader out of there,
Oh, sure,
when they got a loader, drove it out,
sure, yeah,
track rolls.
yeah, bad idea.
I'm gonna expand a little bit, sorry, on Vandemark again too. Mr. Meyer, feel free to come up at any point in time if you like. We talked about before, and as far as the alignment, okay, with the township road. There are people that feel that there should be some type of signage or lines that designate that there is, for lack of a better term, a curvature in the road. What's your thoughts on that?
where it ties into the township road.
And I know that's a right-of-way issue,
Yeah.
I mean, but, yeah, it's a concern, so I mean, we're talking about Vandemark, so.
I guess I haven't looked at it that close to see if it would warrant a sign like that, but I'll go look at it and I can give you my opinion, I guess. But as far as what I've seen so far, I just don't feel like it would warrant that type of signage.
What's the speed limit there? What's the posted speed limit gonna be?
It's 20 through the neighborhood.
The 20
Yep. Yeah, it turns 20 about, a couple hundred feet down.
to the north, right?
Yep.
So as you're approaching that, you're doing 20 miles an hour. So you're supposed
Supposed to be, yeah.
Supposed to be, okay.
Makes a difference, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if it was 55, or 35, or 45 even, and that you had that, it would make a tremendous difference, but at 20, it definitely gives you ample time to shift. And I've looked at that too and thought,
Okay.
if you're doing the speed limit, shouldn't be an issue, but.
It would be nice if we could work with the home, or the landowner on that side, if we just kind of get that tapered out, especially
Yeah.
for snow removal, because otherwise
Yeah.
we're gonna be coming in our goofy angles, so.
True, yeah.
Have to see what they're doing.
I think, I make that road a lot. I think people tend to overdrive it from the north, and I think that you could have some serious problems if they, run into the lane. The lane now at a 33-foot comes right into the driveways of some of those cars. So I think you need some delineation, some marking in the streets to, and some signage that tells you that you're approaching this kind of an offset. If you don't get any other property, I think you need to do that. This is my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we'll check it out.
I'll take a look at it.
Take a look, yeah. I don't have to go up there too, I haven't been up there to that part of it either, on the outside of it.
Yeah, it is quite an offset up there from, going from a narrow lane gravel to a wide street, so
Right,
you're coming right into the other lane, so.
sure. Okay.
You're not waiting on any construction easements or anything, you've got the verbals you need to get things tapered and.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking, it sounds like it just needs to be tapered into that road a little bit more than what it is, so.
And even with on the boulevard side of things, as you, the north end of that, there's some, some deflection
Yeah,
between the sidewalks and the.
yeah, I know we got a couple items like that on their punch list to mellow some of that out.
So, yeah, my neighbor to the north said he hadn't signed his, construction easement.
Oh,
But
yeah,
I think with a verbal, you can, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Alright, if there's nothing else, we'll move on. Alright, we'll move to Craig with Public Works, front truck.
Just gonna touch up the DMRs, I'm working on them right now, I'm gonna have them done tomorrow, get them sent in, cause they're due the 28th of October, but I'll be going pretty much most of October. The only other thing too is, Century Square, just wanna make sure you guys are okay if we would take down the current Christmas tree and maybe replace it with something about 6 foot tall or 8 foot tall, or whatever, kind of put something else in there. The top of that other one is just flat for about 6 feet. I mean, it's
Sure.
not a real pretty tree anymore. It's pretty sad. So I was thinking about removing it and then, either getting something we can plant ourselves or having something spaded in, so. Looking at, see what the price is gonna be. So, nobody has any objections to that, I guess, so.
Need a motion or just a general head nod?
I'd be okay with a head nod, I think I got a budget money somewhere. Teresa might not be, but.
You're the tree guru in town.
I guess.
for the
Tree
city,
marshal.
So, tree marshal.
Official title.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I heard.
Official title.
Yeah, I had a couple people tell me that, who's gonna, we have a tree marshal on.
Marshal on, that kind of damage you build to it.
Well, yeah.
Alright,
So that's all I got, like I said, I'll be on vacation till the 29th after we get back from this week, so.
Okay. Let's see. I didn't get an answer, or I've had several people have asked me about the fencing along Mickelson, so betwixt the two of you, what's the reasoning for the fencing being added along Mickelson? Is that designating private property from public, or?
Are you talking the barbed wire?
Yes.
Fence down there? Yeah, so that was actually part of St. Mason's agreement.
Okay.
Cause he grazes cattle still in that,
Sure.
that pasture
Okay.
zone. So we had to fence that off. We took the fence down, we had to put it back
Yep.
up.
Okay.
On the north and the south side.
Yep, I figured it was something about that simple, but I just wanted to confirm. Okay.
That's all I got, unless somebody has any questions or concerns. We did find a truck, so we're moving ahead with that, so.
it's good.
Dump truck should be easy, I've already had 3 salesmen call me on trucks, so,
No problem.
so that shouldn't be a problem
Try to
finding
go
dump
through that
trucks.
same deal like we did.
Until January, then there won't be any available, of course.
I knew you'd find a truck, it just might take a while, but.
No, we got a nice truck, so it's gonna work out good.
Craig, I noticed in your, report on the Highway 38, so they're not thinking of putting a turn lane in until 2023?
Yeah, I got,
Wow.
got an email from them saying that that's what they're scheduled for, so I'm gonna talk to Travis a little more about it and see if we can't, just tell him how dangerous that can be up there in that intersection.
Yeah.
Really work on the speeds up there too, so I was gonna try to meet with him up there this week and see if we can't get something figured out with
Yeah.
that, so.
If they don't, if they don't move that forward, how much work is it to move where the speed limits start and stop?
Right.
You know, if you push that,
Yeah.
you push
That's-
that,
That might be easier to get done than get the
right?
Turning lane?
turning lanes, cause that's
So
all
move
based by
that.
money where the sign just, he was gonna have them do some more traffic studies up there and speed studies.
Okay.
Like I said, in his email he sent me, he didn't think it was gonna be warranted, but
Yeah.
I'll get together with him and see if we can't get something done, so.
If you're coming in at 65.
It's bad, so
it
I wanna
gets
bring
up on
him,
you pretty quick.
Yeah, I
I've
wanna
had
bring you
3
right up there and
complaints
so-
already,
yeah,
so,
Mhm.
they're
Okay.
concerned about it.
I'll get together with him this week and see if we can get something done, so.
Alright, move to Karen's report, finance officer report.
Nothing to add, unless someone has questions.
I don't. Alright, thank you.
You bet.
Karen. Alright, move to Teresa's.
Just kind of touching base on my report, last Thursday, I did travel up to Pier and go before the DENR board and secure our SRF, loan application for the sewer along Western, and it was approved that day, so we did get our, financing for that. One thing I wanna talk about that, so, Stockwell's are in the midst of doing the plans for that. Hopefully, we're looking at doing this next spring. They're doing the plans for it. We're trying to secure the easements for the property along Western there. The township has the building, right by the sports complex there that they own. They expressed interest and they would sign over the easement, but when they had their meeting, they asked if it's possible to stub out a sewer connection for them. Right now, they've got a septic tank, so they'd like to get on the city sewer. I asked Mitch what it cost, he said probably about $1,000 to put that stub out in there. I don't need a vote, but are you guys okay with them putting it into the plan? I mean, including them on our sewer system, just actually gives us revenue, it helps them out not having a septic system. So, do you have any qualms with them adding that service into the plan.
They're not currently annexed into the city, are they?
No, they're not.
So I think if,
I don't know, can we bring sewer to?
wouldn't you almost ask them to annex in before you put stuff? Because if we spend $1,000 and they never annex in, what's the, I mean, it's a mute point.
Yeah, can we treat it like we did Red Bee?
We can.
I mean, I think that's just out of
Well, I don't even think that's,
consistency.
I don't even think we even have to put it into it, we can just put the stuff in and have them annex in.
That was part of the deal for Red Bee, wasn't it? So,
Is there anything odd about that with township versus?
Yeah, that's
You
what I
have
was,
anything about serving property outside?
They're in downtown.
Well,
Street all the way.
I've been trying to figure out in my head is if they annexed in, could they still be the township home property and located there?
they used to be in town
They were
right
in
before.
town for.
Did they move out then?
Yeah, they moved out of town, they sold their lot, they used to be right over in Third and Oaks.
yeah, that's what I was thinking, they're just over here.
I don't know that answer.
They
Can I
might
find
change
it
the
out?
taxes, I don't know if they'll do it. Well, yeah, we can do some more research into this and put it on our next agenda item about it, but that's what they expressed, that if they'd sign the easement, if we would put a stub out to them. But we can check into them more, because then there's a question, okay, if we annex them in, that's gonna change your tax structure probably, so not sure that, and can
It
we,
should be tax-free, government.
well, that's true. They should be, yeah, government, they should be tax based, so. We'll do a little checking into that, and we'll kind of talk about it at our next meeting, I mean, project ain't till
I
next
mean,
spring, so.
I know those entities exist, Lyon County, you know, the county fairgrounds, for instance, is surrounded by City of Sioux Falls, but just the pros and cons of.
Right.
Can we bill them for sewer if they're not annexed into the city? They're non-city property?
Yes,
We can.
yes, you can build for properties that are not in the city.
Okay.
How would we do that? Because they're not on city water, and our sewer is a percentage of our water.
But they have a meter, so
Okay.
we've got some sewer only accounts right now that are serviced by rural water that we have them call in their meter reading, and that's how we bill them off
Oh,
of.
okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've got like
Curious.
Two or three.
two or three left.
yeah, only a couple, not three, not too many, but so. try to do it. So I'll check into some of those other questions, we can talk about it on our next meeting then on it.
In Canton, just so you know, there's the factory west of town that makes the radiators. That's not, the manufacturing plant's not in, but the office, in the city, but the office is, and we do a higher rate for them because they're not in the city for their sewage, and we do a higher rate for their water because they're just not in town, and so we could do that too.
So, kind of check into that. Otherwise, you know, besides what I noted in my report, unless you guys have any questions or anything else?
I don't. Okay, thanks Teresa. And you need a motion to approval
Right.
for attend the South Dakota Planners Annual Conference.
Yes, I do. I'd like to just attend it for the one day of the Planners Association Conference. There's a agenda in there for you.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Teresa's attendance at the South Dakota Planners Conference, October 16th.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Vote Brennan? Yeah. Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Nelson?
Yes.
And Keel?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, that's good, we're moving on to new business. We've got review approved, the job description for our part-time snow removal help. Gonna need that quicker than we think. Is there any major changes to this?
No, yeah, Karen
Just dates on
updated it with the dates, otherwise, you know, it's the same job description we have when we, looking for, you know, the help during the winter time to help with the snow removal, so.
All that.
We hope to get 2 or 3 help. The last couple of years, it hasn't been very good, it's been mostly our guys, but we'll try again.
Try to get some more. Alright, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll I'll make a motion to approve the job description as presented.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Nelson?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yep.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Alright, next item up, we've got the consideration to transfer the city properties to HADF, which is lot 6 of the railway edition. And with that, I'll probably queue up Mr. Parker to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Before I get started, I just want to bring one thing to your attention. This first week of October is Manufacturing Week, as declared by the Governor, Kristi Noem. We have some great manufacturers in our community, such as Interstate Manufacturing, Semcast Pipe and Precast, as well as Beaverbuilt. Just wanted to give a shout out to some of those businesses and make you aware of this week. Manufacturing is an important part of our economy and is a huge potential growth sector for Hartford and the Sioux Falls area as well. So we this morning, Buffalo's Brewing and the Hartford Area Development Foundation, we had the honor of being the keynote speakers to the Southeast South Dakota Tourism Annual Conference held at the Crossings Boys Ranch at their brand new visitor center that's going to be happening on Friday. We talked about how innovative we've been with the process of bringing a brewery to our downtown. Callie and Chris were both there, and we had a great chance to have a little roundtable discussion where the audience asked us how we did it, what obstacles we faced, what the brewery is doing, any other questions that came to mind too. And at the end of that, they presented us with an award where we were designated the inaugural winners of the Southeast South Dakota and Tourism Innovation. Is that how they phrased it? Innovation and Tourism Award.
Wow.
And so the trophy's a day late, so we got a piece of paper, which is pretty neat, of the trophy. But the Southeast South Dakota is looking to us for leadership in tourism. We got a number of great compliments from the communities that were there and also the industries that were there. And I think it was a very interesting experience for folks looking to us for leadership in tourism. So that's why I'm before you today proposing our next phase in downtown redevelopment and also tourism draw and quality of life improvements. Currently there is a vacant lot located south of the South Bar that is not generating any property or sales tax revenue for the city. The thought there is, what if we take that lot and turn it into something that generates that for the city of Hartford and also marketing as well. I mean, one of the greatest things with this brewery deal is not just been with some of the community, the strength of the community, and for our property and sales tax, but it's been a great marketing tool for our community. You've seen it people talk about, when I'm out and about talking to people in the Sioux Falls area, they always ask, how's the new brewery doing? People are watching us and listening to us, and we have an opportunity here, I think, to capitalize on an untapped market. Now, the proposal in front of you talks specifically about a distillery, artisan distillery. If you would choose to take this land and make it into a tax producing or a revenue producing parcel of land, my proposal here would be to create a proposal that would market itself as something that adds sales and property tax to the city of Hartford that's not already happening here. And the preference will be given to this project if you would so choose to move forward. And so with that, I'll take any questions you might have for me.
I have a question for Craig. If this comes to fruition, Craig, where would you pile the snow and where?
That'd be something we'd have to try to figure out. I mean, whether it went to the west of our shop, right to the big shop, and then we'd have to haul probably every snowstorm just to get it out of there, but it would definitely.
Straight north of O'Kane.
Yeah, we have to pile it over there, just leave enough room so we got loaded salt sand, yeah, stuff like that. We really don't have, I mean, we pretty much have to find just a spot for temporary piling. It would definitely put a little damper in snow removal, but, you know, we'd work around it one way or another if we had to, so.
We currently don't have the ability to blow it into trucks and
No.
haul it.
No.
Which
We
is,
don't have-
as you develop
Yeah,
a
and-
downtown, that's the,
Yeah, and manpower too, we just, you know, to have, cause it'd take a couple guys to run, well, if you only ran one truck, you know, so.
we've got another man budgeted for you for 2020.
So, we'd, like I said, if it came down to it, we'd figure something out, you know, it'd just take a little longer to clean Main Street, but.
Any concern about the city shop maybe needing to expand to the east at all? Into that property?
Well, I believe there's still an alley through there.
There's a
so
right away through there that have to be vacated, yeah,
I think if we ever got to that point, we'd look at building a new shop somewhere.
somewhere else. Okay.
Sure. How does that lot size compare to, for instance, compared to what the brewery's sitting on right now?
I believe it's 66 feet in the front. Let me look at my information here again. It's an irregular lot shape. The width is very similar, if not identical. I believe the frontage is 66 feet as well.
And that's what the brewery has, is 66 feet, because they have 3 lots of 22, so.
Pretty usable, quite a bit more space there than what it looks like. Has there been interest from the neighboring property owners?
There has been some interest in the past. The timeline is a little bit further out there. But the property owner to the north was contacted regarding this project to see if there'd be any interest in submitting for a proposal in the future if this would go forward.
Okay. So it's a possibility, it's still
A possibility.
over too.
Yeah, I reached out to the property owner as well and basically told him that we were gonna be discussing it. It was on the agenda for tonight, and so he didn't. He obviously shared what his plan would be for it in the future, but that's a long ways off, so. And there's nothing, that this action does that would prevent him necessarily from not being able to still proceed, as I understood it. I mean, you've got kind of a niche you're looking for, but that's not exclusive, is that correct?
Correct. Because for example, nobody could provide an RFP that meets the initial qualifications of an artisan distillery.
Right.
In that case, we need to make sure we have a plan built into this proposal process that allows for other businesses that add value to submit as well.
Say that again, Jesse.
So, when you phrase a proposal, you won't wanna say or write explicitly that we're only looking for X project. You wanna write a proposal saying we're looking for a project that brings tourism and adds quality of life to our downtown area. Preference will be given to industries that add to the penny sales tax. The Development Foundation has identified an opportunity for a distillery to operate in this area and has taken the appropriate steps. Preference will be given to that concept, however, we're open to all applications that meet
Is the
the
third,
requirements.
I'm just curious, I mean,
Yeah,
is it the third penny sales tax that drives the thought process, or is it just a brewery or an artesian distillery in general? Cause, you know, I don't know how many bars this town can really, you know, how many bars do we need?
so an artisan distillery is different than a bar, and so I'll answer your initial question.
It's alcohol.
It's alcohol. It's
Okay,
liquor.
well, let's just call it alcohol.
Yeah, sure, spirits.
So we got spirits,
Yeah.
got the goat,
Yeah.
we got Buffalo Brewery,
Mhm.
Blue 42, South Bar.
Mhm.
What else we got? Is that four?
Steakhouse, golf
Steakhouse.
course.
Steakhouse,
Golf course.
golf course,
Legion.
Legion.
Mhm.
That's 7.
Mhm.
And our population right now is
3,400.
3,300, 3,400.
Right. So, okay, so would you repeat your question?
I'm just curious why it seems like a push towards alcohol.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious if that's low hanging fruit, or whether it's because of the third penny sales tax. I mean, why not a Taco John's, why not a Burger King, why not
Great question.
anything else? Why alcohol? Cause you know what, some people in this community are gonna say
Sure.
is the only thing they're pushing for is more alcohol establishments. I'm not saying everybody in this town will,
Mm.
but I guarantee you there will be people in this town that say, why the push to
Sure.
bring in more alcohol in this town?
What would you like me to comment on specifically, just the method, or the?
I'm just curious, what's driving the alcohol push? Is it tourism?
So if you would, I sent a chart about an email, about a week ago in your email, if you had a chance to read the third penny sales tax
Check email.
comparison, okay.
You got it going.
So in your email, you'll see an Excel sheet that documents Hartford in relation to communities above and below its size. So about 10 different communities we're compared to. In that report, it's documented the third penny sales tax, so that's tourism dollars,
Yeah.
bedrooms and food tax,
Yep.
through the month of August for 2019 versus the month of August through 2018. Follow?
Yep.
So in that report, it shows that we've seen a 10% increase in sales.
I did follow that analogy.
Great, great. We've seen a 10% increase in our third penny sales tax through August of 2019 versus the same period last year.
Okay.
Puts us about $4.4 million in qualifying sales.
Okay.
You compare us to Millbank. What's the population? $8 million in that same period. What does that tell you? What does it signal to you?
It tells me that the city's making tax money on booze.
It
That's
says
what it tells me.
that
What's it tell
there's opportunity for us to capitalize on. We are losing a lot of people to Sioux Falls. We're not getting as many folks from Sioux Falls coming out here to shop. So if we can find creative ways and innovative ways to introduce businesses to our downtown where they're not currently at in the Sioux Falls market, we can, one, keep folks in town that are spending money in Sioux Falls, thus keeping first, second, and third penny sales tax dollars in town. And second, we can be a tourism draw for not just the Sioux Falls market, but also folks that are traveling up and down Interstate 90 that are looking for things to do.
I think it's a place like this, it's obviously specialty, I mean, even more specialty than what breweries are right now. It's kind of, you go back 8 years, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, there were very few breweries, there are very few distilleries right now. People travel a long way to come spend money in your town to do it. I think the other piece of it is that we sometimes get stuck in the weeds on the ability of that business, and that's not our place to discuss. I think we have a bare lot that's really nothing but gravel that we allow people to park on right now, and we pile snow on it. If somebody wants to start a business there and put a building there and help us generate some tax revenue and sales tax, but also property tax, that business succeeding is up to them and their patrons. I don't think it's for us to speculate on whether it's gonna work or not.
And
We win either way,
Right.
honestly, and I hate to be that crude about it, but we kinda win either way because, it's developed property.
Right, and that's my standpoint on this. My job here is to bring businesses to Hartford that can make it here. Unfortunately, Burger King and Taco John's aren't here for a reason, because they can't make it here. There's not enough daytime population for them to survive. And there's not enough interstate traffic in their minds for them to survive. However, we can find businesses that can make it here. And again, once they get here, it's not our job to make sure they exist, like the mayor is saying, but we can be creative and innovative in our economic development processes.
To counter Mark's point, we also have a proposal out there for a daycare. And we've done that too, so I don't think we've become narrow focused or closed-minded to opportunities.
And nothing might happen. I think for this lot, especially, we're gonna have to do some work on it, we're gonna have to bring some dirt in to make it look a little bit better. We're gonna have to do at least probably a phase 1 of our mental assessment on it to see what's happened there. We're gonna have to do title insurance, that wasn't done on the last one, and these are all issues that we ran into when we did the brewery. And that's gonna have a significant cost to the Development Foundation. They're not cheap projects to pursue.
So with Travis's point, we transferred 5 lots?
Six.
Developed 6.
To the Development Foundation, then we spent how much money to get it out of the floodplain?
No money on the floodplain, but it was graded for an additional $40,000.
So we spent that money and nothing's happened.
Things are happening.
How long has it been?
since the transfer, I don't know the exact date.
The 2 years?
I think it's
I
been
don't
two.
know, I think it was last year.
Probably a year.
About a year.
Last year, from the, we hauled all the dirt last year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, I just like that they got a plan, an idea of what to do with the lot versus saying, hey, give us a lot, we'll try to figure something out with it. You know, same thing we kinda did with the south lot. Intention there, if it happens, it happens, or if something else comes along. Something else comes along. But if you don't have a lot, you don't have a plan, then you can't bring nothing to town. So, I guess I'll make the motion to, or is that something we can do now, or do we gotta do public hearings and all that? Or can I just make a
No,
motion to?
you can transfer land
I'll make a
into the
motion to
development court.
transfer Lot 6 railway addition to the Hartford area development foundation.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion?
I would like to get permission from them to at least utilize that lot for snow and tell,
Permission given.
you know, something happens there. So,
Yeah, I don't see there be any issue to,
because you know, once it's theirs,
That right
you know, it's.
from
it's on camera.
I
But
just
I
wanna-
work for a board, so I don't make those decisions.
Sandy wanted to comment, can we have,
Can I make a comment?
when we're in discussion, can we do that?
Caution. I was here back when this kind of same discussion came about to sell the elevator, those lots on the corner. And those same kind of remarks were made, oh, but there's nothing there now, let's just give it to them. They made these promises that they were gonna put up an office and they were gonna do all this stuff. And that never got put in the paperwork. And so now we have parking for their stuff. I would just caution that we're careful about just, oh yeah, anything will do. And I would question, as much as I understand the whole brewery distiller thing, I do see it as, that's not something that's probably gonna last forever. When you're talking tourism or the hottest new thing, I would think we need to keep in mind what's a long-term investment. And also employees, I mean, how many does that employ? Because you got 3 lots at 66 foot for a Hartford lot.
Yeah.
The Hartford business lots were 22 feet. So you're talking 2 businesses, so I'm just saying I would weigh that third penny.
Yeah, no,
Very
those are
good.
very
Thank you.
constructive comments.
It's in your comments, I think I would agree with your comments.
I have how many, do you know what the square footage of that is?
It's in the report there in the first paragraph,
That's
11,539,
plus or minus 50 feet probably, just on the GIS software.
539.
Now, that's always been my concern with transferring property
What's-
to the HADF is there's just there's no out at that point. You know, if we don't put any stipulations on it, like, we'll review this in 1 year, or it needs to have a building permit in 1 year, if it doesn't, then we review that transfer. Cause what are we out if we transfer it back? I mean, essentially, it's just paperwork.
Town insurance.
If something changes 6, 8 months down the road, Craig decides he can't live without that lot for whatever reason, or, you know, some other city opportunity presents itself, and we were wringing our hands about, you know, and I've made the same point about the lots that were sold to the elevator, there was no strings attached to that, and, it didn't really benefit the downtown, and that's really what we're trying to do here. And so if we can figure out a back door to not pull this thing away from anybody, but to say, okay, that was our plan, but it didn't work.
I think
I agree.
the very best way to do that isn't probably through legal paperwork between the city and the HADF. I really think that's through our relationship with the HADF. And I think that as long as we've all continued to keep our relationship healthy and working toward the same things, I don't see it being too much of an issue, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, they've got you know, a board now, it's, you know, this board, this council, that board, but again, if you don't get anything in the minutes or in the motion, it's just, it's a legally binding motion that property transfers without any strings, so that's my only concern.
My concern is that councils and boards change.
Yeah. Yep.
I think we've proven that.
Alright, got a motion and a second, any other discussion? Now we're gonna vote. Monahan?
No.
Jones?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
And Nelson?
Yes.
Alright,
Thank you.
thank you, please, yeah, as you always do, provide us regular updates.
Absolutely. One thing I request with this too, if the city report, if we could split title insurance on this, or if that's a conversation to have later on, or if you want us to cover that cost entirely. It's just one issue that we ran into when we were transferring the land to the brewery is that there was a tax deed on the land. And we had to chase somebody down, it took 6 weeks to find the person, get a signature, to get a QCD on it. Just an issue that as we've gone through this process, we've learned from our mistakes. Or is that city policy when they transfer land? Does that generally happen when there's land transfers, or is it just done generally?
We do it when we're buying land, but
Yeah.
not usually when we do it that way.
What do they say about a gift horse?
Yeah.
Thank you for your comment.
Stop, it's time to stop digging,
There you go.
you're at the bottom.
Alright, we got review approved billboard renewal leases. Pizza Ranch, Hartford Steak, and a whole list of them.
Yeah, so basically we have 7 billboard leases that are up for renewal before the end of the year. I've received 6 of those 7 back as signed that they wanna continue their lease for another 3-year term, that's our standard lease term. All the new leases have incorporated the changes we made as far as no subletting, having to have a deposit, having to have vinyl up in 90 days, so it's our most current form of our lease, they've all agreed to it. I put them in your packet for review, I don't know if you wanna make motions individually or as a group, but those 6 that are listed, like I said, they are signed and returned to us and just need approval from the board to move forward with them.
When do these have to be approved by?
Well,
January 1st, right?
well, no, some of them have different dates and they say that I need them back for them 90 days prior to renewal, and some of them are getting close to the 90 days prior to renewal, so.
My only concern is, you know, we've looked at these leases on an almost yearly basis, and I always see something that catches my attention, and for instance, the utilities specifically. Additional lighting may increase the amount charged for the lease. I'd like to see that be a fixed number, because if I'm looking at this, I'd potentially rent that billboard. I would like to know what that is if I wanted it to run from dawn to dusk. Is it $30 a month? Is it $100 a month?
So we have 2 of them that have extra lighting,
Yep.
and what we've done to figure it is one's on a full billboard, so that's 2 lights on them, one is just a half a billboard, so it's 1 light on them. And so we've taken the year prior with cause we get, from Sioux Valley, it costs on the billboards, we've
Is
taken
each
that
one
down.
metered separately?
Hmm?
Or each metered separately?
No, they're not metered separately, but, so we've taken the average of what it is and broken it down, what 1 billboard would cost for lighting and what a half a billboard would cost to lighting. And that's the amount that we've built in for the extra lighting. And those 2, that was negotiated for the extra lighting, we say, well, according to our, bills that we get for that, this is what we'd have to charge you, and if we either agree to it or not.
So we do know what that increase is.
Yeah, pretty much.
That'd be my only suggestion, is that we just state that in the lease.
Well, and it's reflected on their rental pay, but
Sure.
we could say that separately. To take like billboard number 1, the big cup, our base rent is $200, but they pay $225 because they get the extra lighting so it's $25 for that billboard
For them.
per month. So that's why theirs is $225 versus $200.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's probably split
Yeah, I mean, you could spell it out in the wording if you wanted to, so.
We got legal counsel here, any concern with the words may versus something fixed, like an actual amount in there?
Well, the way they're doing it now, Teresa's able to tell them, look, here's what it's gonna cost you, and she puts it on the bill.
Yeah.
Right.
And when the bill goes up, she doesn't have to amend the lease, she just says it jacked up and I'm raising it up to you, I'm not taking a bath on the utilities.
Okay,
I think it's okay.
okay. Fair enough.
Alright, do we have any motions to move forward?
Do we need to do these one at a time, or can we?
I said, that's up to you. If you wanna do them one at a time, we can, or if you wanna do them, if you're comfortable with all 6 of them, or if you have concerns about some of them, that's entirely up to you.
I have a question regarding the put off insurance one, that, they have half of a billboard,
Right.
but there's not any subleasing going on there?
No, this one used to be subleased. I brought that up a couple months ago.
Yes, right,
ABR Antique they paid for the whole billboard, and then they subletted it to put off insurance.
right.
Now that we don't allow that, I've sent, ABR their own one for half a billboard,
Gotcha.
and then put off half.
Okay.
And I've explained that we don't sublease anymore, and they're
Yeah.
both fine with that.
And that's, I wanna make sure I understood that correctly. because
So,
it's on both ends.
As is now, that was the only one we had with the sublease. Now, none of them have subleases.
Do we need to discuss the payment option deal before we would approve these, or? no?
Well, it won't change our
Not
lease
these.
agreements. Like I said, that's our next agenda item. If
Yeah.
we decide we wanna do something with prepaid, we can internally, do that here in the office, so.
I'll make
They're
a
still gonna
motion.
owe what they owe, yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the, billboard renewal leases for Hartford State Put Off Insurance of Marion, ABR, CCF.
Pizza Ranch.
Do you want
Yeah,
pizza
pizza
ranch too?
Sorry.
Second.
Discussion? Vote. Nelson?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes,
Brenneman? Yep. Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Okay, and I do have one more agenda item under this. It's discussion of, so CCF, who is the coffee cup, they actually have 2 billboard leases with the city. The one that we just renewed was on billboard number 1. They also have billboard number 4 that is basically going towards Sioux Falls that they also rent from us. That's up for renewal as well, but they didn't sign the renewal for that for a 3-year term, because they would like to actually come down to a 1-year term, otherwise they don't wanna renew. And basically, their thought is, that's advertising the Brandon location for them, and they don't wanna advertise this far out, I guess, so they not gonna advertise it on it anymore, but they said they would be willing to do a 1-year term to give us time to find another renter on it, so they wanna know if we're open for that, to do a 1-year lease on it.
I know in the past, 5, 6 years ago, we darn near couldn't give the darn things away at some point. Do you feel that the tendency has changed as far as the marketability of the billboards? I mean, if we did not accept in a 1-year term, do you feel that we could find another tenant for billboard number 4, West Face?
Sure, we could find another tenant. It'd be nice to have that year time though, and not have it sitting empty. I
Right.
mean, and still getting income on it, just to have it replaced. Obviously, the ones coming into Hartford, Hartford businesses those are the more popular ones. I have a waiting list for those ones, but not the ones going
Yeah.
towards
Everyone's
Sioux
still
Falls.
stinker, yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the 1-year lease for billboard number 4, West Face.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second, any other discussion? Alright, we'll vote, Brenneman? Yep. Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Nelson?
Yes.
Keel?
yes.
Alright, now we got payment options for billboard leases.
So this was one of the tenants that we have, was wondering if the city would ever consider doing like a prepayment discount on our billboards. And I said, well, we haven't ever done that in the past, but I'd certainly bring it before the council to see if you're interested. His suggestion would be, if they would pay a year up front, would we give them a discount of 5, 10%, whatever it may be for doing that prepayment. It wouldn't change the terms of our lease at all, it would be something we would do internally in our office, so if they wanna pay a year ahead of time, we'll write off, you know, the difference of it, so. I don't know if that's something we wanna consider, if we just wanna keep it at a flat monthly rate and go from there,
How are we billing them right now? Is this
monthly.
monthly and it's, you're sending out a bill from here, they're returning it,
Right,
returning a check
yep.
every month?
We send them out a postcard just like the utility cards basically, but it says, you know, the billboard lease for billboard number 1 or whatever, and yeah, so they get a monthly bill from us.
Do you accept credit card payments for that?
Yep, we can take credit card payments from it.
You know, so with that, we pay about probably 3.5% at the most
Well, for
for a
credit
credit
cards.
card, to run a card.
Yeah, it's depending on the amount, probably around 3%.
The thing is a little steep.
Yeah, we don't wanna give them a discount and then have them pay with a credit card, that's gonna be a double whammy. Or kinda for us,
It's way more than 10%.
right. Yeah, I talked to Teresa, I called her and I said, that is way too, that's a, yeah, we don't see that.
It is, I like I like giving them an option of just pay annually and maybe give them a little bit of incentive too, even if it just eliminates some busy work here, checks back and forth, checks back, you know, all of that, those entries and everything like that. I don't feel like there's a spot in there.
The credit card fee, how do you pay, we don't.
Have a lot of them asked? No.
Just the one, just this one.
We'd have to include that in the contract, wouldn't we?
Like I said, we can do that internally. If they come and bring us a check for the full year, we would just write off the difference.
So right now, it's just billed monthly
Yep,
on a 3-year lease.
yep.
Karen, it's not too labor intensive on your end?
Rhonda does them.
Rhonda? Okay,
It's part of her water bill process.
Not true. Not true.
okay.
That's a little steep.
So there's still nothing to prevent them from paying a year in advance.
Oh, no, they wanna prepay, we'll put it all on their account, yeah.
Right.
There's no incentive to either, you know, and I'm not saying that.
No.
There's no incentive to.
I mean, it costs money right now, 2 or 3.
I mean-
Typically, we don't run, do you run late on some of these, and do you have, not to be specific, but do you have some?
The ones
where
we got now are pretty good,
babysitting or
yeah. We've had issues with, you know, past ones, but the ones that are renting right now, we don't really have any issues with them not paying. We have one tenant that we put on auto withdrawal just to ensure payment with them, but,
Yeah.
so we're getting it that way, so I don't think one has ever mentioned having.
I'll make a motion for the sake of moving forward here, I'll make a motion to approve a 5% discount if paid in advance for an annual payment. Sound about right?
Okay, got a motion,
We'll second that.
discussion?
Is it $200 a month?
That's the base rent, I mean, they kind of vary depending if they're getting a full billboard or not.
So just ballpark $2,400 a year,
5%.
It's 120.
120.
$120 roughly.
I mean, we have built into our next year's budget the full amount, but like I said, it's not a huge dollar amount that we're talking about here. But it will put our billboard lease revenue down, if they decide to take it.
Alright, one more discussion, a motion, a second? We'll vote, Monahan,
No.
Jones,
No.
Brennan,
No.
Keel,
No.
and Nelson.
Yes.
Okay,
What it is.
sounds good.
Alright, next item up up, we've got discuss the recreational program and review the proposed job description. So, just got the new job description in there for our review from our last meeting. See, landed on recreation and office assistant as the title. I know, that was a little tricky to figure out where.
Yeah. And like I put in my report, I was asked what I see, needed in the office, or, what could be done as far as, that position, what they do, what maybe more they could do, if we could make it a full-time position or not, versus the part-time as it is now. Quite frankly, just for these last few months, the, recreation director, it's mainly office work in there. I mean, doesn't go out in straight fields, he doesn't go put up signs or drag ball down. I mean, he's in the office, which is great, that's what we want him to be doing. A lot of his job centers around that. But, I mean, I definitely think it's only a part-time. I don't see it as a full-time job worthy. There's not enough tasks we do. We don't have enough of our own programs. We haven't taken over anything from school. I just don't see it a full-time position. But I do see where we are getting busier and busier in this office. We've had 3 people in our office staff for the last 20 years, and our town has definitely grown in that amount of time. We've had a lot more water counts, a lot more residents. I mean, every new person that moves in, there's just more stuff to do. So I can see having an office person that could be that point person, could answer the phones, could answer the questions from people coming in, could do the simple things like, dog license, golf cart license, those tasks. So Rhonda can concentrate on the water and sewer department, Karen can do her finance department. They can do those tasks that come in with people coming in and out of the office. Plus, and that's not constantly though, but then on the off time, sit down, help schedule ball fields, help, take calls as far as the programs, help sign kids up, help shoot stuff out on the website or on social media, do all that stuff for the, recreation programs for the softball association, the soccer association. That I see could be a full-time position, so that's my take on it, if we're looking for something all-encompassing. With looking for a full-time position too, I think you would have more candidates. We've talked about that before. I know Travis brought it more times. It's kind of easier to get a full-time person to offer more benefits than to have somebody fill in a part-time one, so. That's just
this is a much more sustainable position, and you can grow into
right.
more and more. If the recreation department continues to grow and continue to have more happening there, then you can move things around, you kind of shift things here and there, but at least it gives it a chance to grow where you're not forced to make it all happen with one person.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, that's what I see anyway, that's my opinion.
Let's entertain that concept then. You hire this person and they're maybe 50-50, but then again, as this city grows, as that recreation department grows, how do you steer this person 60-40, 70-30? I mean, at what point do you say this person's a great fit as an administrative assistant, but the recreational side of this thing isn't working?
And I think that's all gonna have to be evaluated as we grow and, like I said, things shift, it may be we need more and more people, or more and more time office assistant as people come in, there's more and more duties come up that way. And, it might shift that way as well, but it could be something ever evolving, like you said, every year we can see, having somebody in there full time, they can tell us, how much time are you spending on this, how much time are you spending this, do you need more time here or there, and then we can cater that, position.
So, I guess my only concern would be, how do you keep this person from just meeting the status quo of what we currently have? Where in the job description do we address growing that recreation side of things? This is a very diverse job description for administrative assistant.
Yeah, you have to be pretty clear when you're interviewing candidates and as you're doing, annual performance appraisals that it isn't, that you're looking for growth in some of those areas. Like, hey, we're gonna keep moving this on, we don't wanna just park on this thing, we wanna make sure it grows.
And without any, not any fault of your own, but you're not hired to promote the recreation program. So your focus isn't gonna be, hey, why don't you spend another 2 hours a week on getting that program set up for T-ball or, whatever the case might be. So I think, as much as I like this job description, I don't know that it's really gonna get us where we wanna go with the recreation side of things. That's my concern.
I would agree. I mean, this fills a lot of voids for what we got going on, but does this do what we originally established we're after with that position?
I would really like to rewrite our recreation director position and then say, oh, by the way, you're doing some clerical, administrative assistant stuff as well. I think that makes that the priority, and that's really what I wanna take to the constituents is, hey, we haven't forgot about the youth in this program and growing this and utilizing that sports complex more and more.
I would be, I wanna caution just a little bit though, that we do listen to our full-time staff that are already here, that are saying, hey, wait a minute though. Before we create a job description for something that doesn't exist and maybe we're not sure, it's kind of a hope at this point. Well, let's fill some needs for the people that are already here, that have the same staff members that they had 20 years ago, and we were probably a 1,500 person community, and we're trending toward a 4,000 person community. I get where you're going, but I think that we actually have a real need. And maybe the hope can be attached to that need and can move forward, but I'm a little concerned about scrapping this and saying, yeah, let's just hang on to that hope out there and hope we get it right next time.
Teresa, unfair question, who do you feel would be the ideal candidate? I mean, is there any one part of the analytics jump out in front of you?
I don't have anybody particular in mind, if that's what.
I mean, not individually, I'm just saying
Oh.
their personality, their aptitude, so on and so forth. I mean,
I think it's gotta
do they
be.
require, do you think they require a 4-year degree or an associate's?
No, not for the tasks that they be doing. I think it's gotta be somebody who's very even-tempered, very good customer relations, because you'll have a wide variety of people coming through, some very nice, some not very nice, and you wanna be able to take on every situation, be able to diffuse some of the, situations too. So I don't want somebody in there that doesn't have good customer relations, like, they'll come in yelling at us, and if you yell right back, it goes from here to here,
Sure,
So you need somebody that can, listen to people and kind of diffuse those situations.
And this person would.
Because they'll be the frontline person, so.
They would offer same
Somebody
place
that's very
Nate
good
did.
people skills, yeah.
They would offer the same place Nate was, I assume.
I know what I'm thinking, if we move forward anything, I'd like to put him where Rhonda is
And then,
and shift
Okay.
everyone down the line basically, Rhonda. and
Okay.
Karen in the back, cause then Karen can, or Rhonda can still see who's coming in, can still be that backup for that front person, but I would think this person would be the first person people go to,
Okay.
hey, I need to see whoever, or hey, I need to license my pet, and answering the phone calls and being that front office person is the way I see it,
Just for historical, I think I maybe mentioned when we were looking at a rec director position, and there was some concern that there wasn't enough work for them to do to keep them full-time. I think that seed was probably planted a year or so ago, that is there other stuff around here that they can do, and And so I'm glad to see that you've identified that there is. We've become more automated as well as the city has grown, we have continued to heap more and more paperwork on the staff. We've automated our water billing and our bulletin, our newsletters, and these, for instance, eliminate the need
Yep,
for
and all that
thousands
helps.
of packets, and planning and zoning also has that.
Yep.
So, yeah, we need to stay on that cutting edge of things too, where we continually look for ways to be more efficient, just like every other business,
Right.
So.
Yeah, because all that helps for us three people to keep on top of everything as we
Yeah,
go.
absolutely.
Sure.
So are you asking for just to approve the draft, or
I
actually?
don't know if I'm looking for approval, I mean, like I said, Jeremy asked my thoughts, and so I'm just putting this out there for consideration, for discussion. Travis and Arden pointed out, they have concerns of wanting somebody to grow up more. I don't know if you're thinking, so are you thinking another part-time person, or, I mean, this is your guys'
Well,
discussion.
my concern is that when I hire a shop guy, he's part shop guy, part estimator, he's transitioned into full-time estimator, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because he's right there, and it's easy for me to hand him more stuff to estimate. So if there's nobody handing this individual more stuff to do with the recreation side of things, I guarantee you, they won't do anymore. Right.
Yeah.
And that's our job, that's Teresa's job, that's the day-to-day, that's great.
Yeah, I just want this council to be aware that that is something that we'll need to visit. We then take on Nathan's current responsibility. Or we're forced to follow up with Teresa on a monthly timeline and say, okay, where are we at with these things that we wanna see get done? That's how I envision this position growing. The recreation side of things is more oversight from this council.
I would make the argument, if you have a full-time person that's here every day, part of the city, part of that culture, part of that team, that you're gonna get a lot more engagement on those things that you want extra and over and on all of that, than you are gonna get from hoping that your part-time person stays or is happy enough to keep those hours.
How do we identify the compensation at this time? I mean, do we have, so after our, the work that we did with the
consultant.
the consulting for employee compensation, did we determine some A, B, C, D pay levels, or is there a recommendation for this individual?
So this wasn't reviewed by that because we didn't have this position. All the information that she gave us, I gave to you guys in your box, so that's all we have. I mean, she identified me, our recreation director, so
Right.
there is a scale in there.
Kind of lump this in with his.
Yeah, so I would probably, look at that, and look at Ron as the office assistant.
Yeah, because I know there was some comment about, well, we can get more for less, so to speak, but I don't know that it benefits. Yeah.
I'd like to table it, I'm not ready to make a decision on publishing this. So I can't give a good vote either way right now tonight, so others are willing to wait a while on this. That's what I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, I guess my only concern would be with our part-time position expiring soon, that the city staff is able to keep up with those duties that are currently being performed. And if the answer to that is yes, I fully support it.
No, and I'm okay with tabling this. I mean, I've talked with Nathan, our current person, and he realizes hours are coming to an end, so we've talked about transitioning the duties and working you know, he's working with Karen and Rhonda to show them, you know, what he does and go through his day-to-day duties, so we'll have them covered, you know, once his hours expires.
I'm fine with that, that'll give us, you want a month or a couple weeks, or what do you want, Mark?
I'd say table it to the next, I'll make a motion to table it to the first meeting in November.
I'd second that.
First meeting in.
First meeting in November.
November.
I'd second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second from Jones. No discussion on the table. We'll vote, Brennan,
Yeah.
Jones,
Yes.
Monahan, yeah, Keel,
Yes.
and Nelson.
Yes.
All right. Been patiently waiting. Bob, we've got, this piece up here, either, I guess whoever we're gonna talk with on this, I wanna make sure I say this right, the Leo
Here.
Shear, the Leo Shear donation to City of Hartford. So this was on a previous agenda and we're coming back on this one. Who wants to give some background on this? Sandy?
I guess I'm the one that brought you I brought you a visual.
There we go.
This is Leo and Violet in front of their house. Used to be up on, well, no, I guess it's 6th Street now, where all the housing development is at. They also had a Champion Station. His father was in the pig, had a pig farm, up Chuck's place. Chuck Meyer lives there now. Leo and Violet, well, if I read it, we'll get right to it. I had submitted some supporting documents to Mark and to Teresa regarding the situation that brought $10,379 to the city of Hartford from the estate of Leo Shear. There's a long, complicated story that surrounds how that money ended up here. There's always the question for those that knew Leo and Violet in those end days to why in the world they would give what little they had left to the city of Hartford. And I would just caveat that as saying that due to the way the street situation was handled back then and the curb and gutter costs, Leo and Violet ended up basically having to liquidate all their in-city properties in order to pay the assessments. The rest of the story being, Violet died, Pat Smith came into the picture. I was Leo's guardian. Pat Smith came into the picture. We had the documentation. She changed his doctor, she changed his place of living, she changed the person on his veterans policies to herself and her husband, and there was also a new will written without court approval. Now, when this all came to light and Charles Meyer, who is Violet's brother, and us were concerned about Leo's care and safety and monies, etc., and there were several court appearances, hearings, etc., over an extended period of time. At one point, the court agreed that that will was not valid, and another will that Leo had created that gave the residual estate to the Scottish Rite was to be put forward. Now, in the court situation there, Pat Smith reiterated that, oh no, it was Leo's will, and the reason that it was gonna go to the city, residual was to the city of Hartford, was that it was to go to parks or some kind of community project that would bear their name. As it turned out, although that will then was found to be invalid, 3 years later, that will actually was probated. And that's the will that gave the city the money.
No, there was a lot of legal things that should not have happened, illegal things, but Charles and Bob and I, who were not notified that that well was then reinstated, and under the law, we should have been, we felt that it would be all right. I mean, it was just at that point enough already. So, but then I found out in talking with Teresa I guess that was last year already, that although the city had received the money, no demarcation had been made, who it came from, what it was supposed to be for, or that their name should in any way be attached. I will say that prior to Pat Smith's death, she did give me a phone call and apologized for the situation. And she did not mention this part of the situation specifically, but I would ask that the city consider taking that donation out of that general fund. I mean, it's just there as I understand it. And in my interpretation, I think at this time, the best place for that would be in the Downtown Hartford Inc. committee pile. And with the caveat that it be used for something in the community that would bear their name, or several things. It wouldn't have to be one project, it could be more than one. But if it would bear their name and that it would be a really positive thing for the city. I would mark the downtown mostly because Leo was a vet, a member of the Legion. He served on that board for 12 years. He served on the school board. She was a school teacher. She was paramount in the group that got the money put on the historic register. She was active in the Methodist Church, the senior citizens. I mean, and of course, as we know, in those days, downtown was basically, the center of activities and things. But anyway, that's what I'm asking. If you consider doing that, I would be greatly appreciative. And I think history for Hartford would be well served. So, questions?
Kind of give Paul City on, how we would be able to tie that name to a location, a spot, whatever, okay?
I don't think it would be any more than, okay, let's jump to this part. I missed public input.
Okay.
I did ask for public input.
That's a great question.
I think you skipped right over
Yeah, we
it.
skipped it.
Yeah, see,
So right now, we can go to public comment. And,
okay.
thank you.
So
We've never missed that, but I think we missed it tonight.
I'm gonna put a couple different hats on right now and kind of get you to the answer to your question. Okay. So, I'm Sandy D, and most of you know me through Hartford happenings over my 52 years as a resident of Hartford. As secretary of both the Downtown Hartford Inc. and secretary of the Minnehaha County Historical Society, at this time, I would like to present the City of Hartford with a copy of the newly reprinted Hartford Centennial Book, 1881 to 1981, courtesy of the Downtown Hartford Inc. Committee, and made possible by the Minnehaha County Historical Society. I know Teresa has an original that she carefully watches over, but we hope you can be more forthcoming with this reprint. The Downtown Hartford Committee is selling these for $20 a copy. They're now available at our shop, Antiques Q's, also at Backyard Gardens, Modish, The Gauge, Joshua's Coffee House, the brewery, and Naughty No, and anybody else that would like to sell them as a fundraiser. And our hope is that by 2021, we'll make a new edition. We'll take it from the 1981 to the 2000, hopefully 21. And in saying that, this is the sort of thing then that could be dedicated to someone like Leo and Violet. Part of that money could be used to create, print, publish something like this. It would be something that would live on as long as there were copies. And actually, in a case like this, it could bring money back into either we could designate a special fund if, that's easy enough to do, the Leo and Violet Share Fund, that then we could put in and take out of. That would kind of, we wouldn't expect you guys to tell us, the downtown committee, what they have to do, but just to answer your question,
Yeah,
I think,
absolutely, we've got to get a
something
direction.
like that.
Okay.
There's a lot of preservation that needs to happen downtown, if maybe the Gauge or even maybe a Mason's Lodge or something, if there's something that could be done there and then, a plaque put up to.
What's your thought on a dog park in the south side of Main Street?
Well, I thought about that.
You did? Well, then.
Well, no, I did, because in Leo's obituary, you gotta realize Leo loved animals.
Okay.
He had hundreds of cats and 2 or 3 dogs. That would be my only caveat with it. I feel the cats are getting really neglected. Let alone the fish and the ferrets. But yes, that is actually something that, we could donate something or whatever to that.
We haven't
And
got that far yet.
if the dog park would be willing to, I think, someone else is working on that for.
Girl Scout troop number.
Okay. I'm saying, I doubt if they would refuse
It'll be fundraising, so yeah.
that would involve, a Leo and Share caveat. I don't know if you're familiar with historic markers, like the Hartford marker and the Veterans Park. Okay. You will see at the bottom of those, dedicated by, donated by, published by. It's not always just one person, because usually it takes the Historical Society, the DAR, the City of Hartford, whoever, to pay for those several $1,000 markers. But that is one way that, yeah.
I think, Sandy, I think you are going to be, you and people are going to be far more skilled at coming up with a good way to commemorate this. And I guess far more skilled than we will be at that, right? And I wonder if the best way to move forward with this would be to say, whether it's with Downtown Inc. or with maybe a public post or something like that, to say, come back with a proposal. Because we haven't had any discussion on this, but I get the general feeling that we would we'd probably like to see a proposal and would be open to some of those ideas. Obviously, a donation was made at one point, and there were no real strings attached to it, but, looking through the history of it, yeah, there's nice ways to commemorate and make sure that people are honored for what happened, so.
Do you want that then brought individually to the council as a project by project thing, or do you feel comfortable giving it to the downtown Hartford with the caveat of?
Well, I guess, are you saying giving it to downtown Hartford, giving all 10,000?
No, I'm thinking the whole thing
No,
would be
okay.
appropriate.
Well, we're on the right page then. But I guess I was thinking if you were to come up with some ideas of how to commemorate it, maybe come with your top 3 to give us something to work off of there.
But again, that puts the pressure on to do things more quickly, sooner than later, to rush processes that may, you understand. I'm thinking if we've got If the downtown committee has $10,000 in this Leo and Violet fund, then, as we start working on this, you know, we could draw from that. To do that, and or the dog park, whenever it comes about, we'd have that then to put whatever might be appropriate toward that project, rather than having to come up with projects and then having to bother you guys, you know, for permission or, you know, and not that we wouldn't be forthcoming with whatever those projects. would be.
Mark, you were kind of the point person on this, you have any recommendations?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, Sandy's the point person. She's the one that knew about it. Nobody else knew about it. She brought it to Teresa's attention. And lo and behold, there's a donation. I don't wanna get into the whole background. I don't know, it sounds,
You've had to have some time to think about this, what do you wanna see done?
I'm fine with what she's proposing. I mean, in the grand scheme of things,
Can I just jump ahead then and say on our next meeting's agenda, we put a proposal on there to transfer $10,379.51 to the Downtown Hartford Inc. Committee for them to see that money spent as they see
So,
fit.
since this was a donation to the city, and it's a
Yeah.
donation on something, I don't think the downtown committee is its own entity now, I don't think we can give it to another entity. I think if they come with a proposal for dog park or whatever, we can spend money for the dog park, or spend money for the books, or whatever, yeah. I don't think we can give it away to another entity, being a donation.
it doesn't have to, we can certainly redirect $10,300.
I mean, if you just make a motion
To
to
that.
take out of our general reserves
Yeah.
10,000 and some dollars, and that's fine,
We're not
but.
reallocating the donation.
But
Yeah,
we're
you
not
just
reallocating
just
the
do whatever you
donation.
want. We can
Specifically,
transfer money.
I'm just reallocating $10,379.
I say if we do it that way, I think that's
I'm
cleaner.
not calling it the Leo Shear donation.
Right. So, just, know that.
You know, I've been here since '95, but I don't know a lot of, there's people here in this community that know far more than people that have moved here in the last 20 years. Chuck's my neighbor. He's probably forgotten more what's happened in this town than I'll ever know, which is fine, and Sandy has to. And there's obvious, you know, there's a portion of this town that's known each other for years and years and years, long time. And some good and some bad. But it's obvious that there was a donation made to the city, which seems odd to me. When you look at how the money was doled out, that looks odd. And I knew Pat and Barney, I mean, I know some of the players, I know Sandy, I know Chuck, but I don't know all backstory, and I don't want to. But it's obvious that there was a $10,000, $10,300, whatever dollar donation made to the city, which in my mind seems odd, because how Chuck got $1, and Sandy got $1. To me, that comes across as an insult, to tell you the truth. That's a stick in the eye. So, and it seems odd that there's a donation made to the city with do this or do that, or I don't know, maybe there wasn't, it just didn't get allocated. You know?
Yeah.
Things fall through the cracks. So, if this is gonna heal one wound or two wounds, I certainly trust Sandy or the members of that community that may or may not have known these people for 40 or 50 years to honor those people to the tune of $10,300. I'm certainly fine with it. If they want to print $10,000 worth of those books, I'm fine with it. So, this city's been took for far more than $10,000 for far worse things than honoring these two people. So,
So the way to do it is like Travis is suggesting, Teresa?
Yeah, I would say that if you make a motion in your next agenda
It's on the agenda
to,
for next, yeah.
yeah, to give 10,379, what it is, to the downtown committee. And
Yep.
then to specify that they use it for, you know, honoring the shears in some way, shape or form or whatever.
I like that idea. I don't want the burden of deciding where it goes. But it's
Right.
I don't think we're gonna get it right, you know?
Nope.
Like, I feel like they're doing much better job.
Then there's some pressure to do something, because this council is in favor of doing something, but the next council may not be, so we better have to spend money.
I think spending money's never the problem.
No,
But that's why to not have that burden of doing, as I just gave you the lecture on ledge
Do it right.
transfers.
Do it right and we need it.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Perfect. Thank
Yep.
you. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wants to speak under public comment?
I was in the manufacturing plant during public comment, so.
Now, you're Sandy, don't forget your picture.
That's,
Oh, I'll get it,
let's just
yeah.
suggest that they.
All right, perfect.
That was a nice touch, I mean, I looked at those folks the whole time.
Heartstrings kind of stuff.
Well played.
So we'll just
Alright.
put it on the next agenda.
On the next agenda. I think that'd be great. Good. All right, next item up, asked to put this one on the agenda for us is to discuss the idea of having a community engagement meeting of some sort. This is more or less to have, maybe an off-site city council meeting, I guess you could call it. Something that's a little more relaxed, something that's gonna be a little bit more, give the public a reason to come out, visit with council members, be a little bit more open. Really, my thought on this is what if we have, I guess first of all, I'm gonna jump over to the reason for it. I think that, most of this council's been in place for 3 years now, and, there's not a ton of public interaction. Obviously, we've missed the whole public comment section, and Sandy. But most of the time we go through a meeting, we don't have that. But we do sometimes hear chirps, and I know I've heard some chirps from around the community that, you know what, this council, they're really not listening. There's really, you know, maybe they're not listening to this, or maybe they're not listening to that. And thought about being able to have a meeting, maybe it's at somewhere fun, maybe it's at the brewery or something like that, where you come in and you have a light agenda, talk about what kinds of things we're working on, big picture wise, you know, whether it's economic development, sports complex, some of those kind of things. Discuss some of those things, and then give time for questions. People got questions for the council, we can answer some questions like that. Then the last part of it, I was thinking, we don't have to follow this format exactly, but is really to have council members break out into tables and say, okay, Ward 1, you guys go over there, you know, and Ward 2 over here, Ward 3, you know, and sit around. If you got questions for your ward, go sit and talk to your council member. Just go ask them questions, get to know who they are. We got elections coming up, and I think that there's very little interest because there's not a lot of engagement. And I think sometimes getting outside of these walls might just, if we publish it the right way, and we promote it the right way, and we show that we're open and inviting, and we want more public opinion, I think it's stepping in a good direction.
I would say I'd like your format, but I would like to see it almost a state of the city kind of start. Jesse loves putting together slideshows. He can put together a slideshow for you. He loves that.
Loves it.
Facts are friendly.
Facts are friendly. I think he got an A in AV at Augustana. So,
Who's gonna chew through the analytics?
yeah.
All numbers.
I think there's maybe some, and I didn't mean to overlook this either, but there's some, that's when I talked to Teresa, it's a benefit of having city staff there to be able to explain, hey, here's some of the things that are going on, here's some of this going on. you know, I'll actually get to talk to Craig and Mitch and Teresa and Karen and everybody like, hey, this is what's really happening. And not be in a formal setting like this where it's, just have something that's really comfortable that way.
I think it's an excellent idea. I would recommend that maybe you consider the firehouse. It's got lots of room. You could have more participation. If you come down in here, you'd be overwhelmed if you have the participation in you. And the fire department seems to have a pretty good draw when they have some of their functions.
Yeah.
Good point.
Just-
Yeah.
That's good, thank you. Thank you. So,
I would like to say publicly that I think there's really not a lot of interest in anybody running for city council because we're just doing such a fine job.
I agree.
Yes, you are.
thanks, Craig. So, anyway, wanna throw that out there, I think, I like the idea there, Jones, I think state of the city, just talking a little bit about what we're up to, how we're doing, what's going on. They need to do free hot dogs, something like that, to bring people out, whatever. So, doesn't have to be action on right now, but any thoughts, any discussion on when would be a good time to maybe do something like this? Is it earlier than later? Coming into holiday season here pretty soon?
Is there any advantage or disadvantage to tying it in with one of our community events? The Halloween deal or the hometown Christmas deal? And, you know, I think anytime you have it, if you're giving free food away, probably see some pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
So maybe the timing isn't as critical as the enticement.
Mm-hmm.
You know what would be a good time? Would be, good time would be March.
Well, when do petitions have to be pulled for?
I don't know, when the election is.
Turned in by February.
Gotta be turned in by the end of February.
Yeah, so like,
So you have it in March, the election's in April, right?
so I think,
Yeah, the elections is usually,
that's what I'm saying, you think you have it before people miss their window to pull petitions?
I don't think you have it to get people to pull a petition, I think you have it to talk to people that, give people the opportunity, because I think whoever turned in a petition would wanna read it to talk to the people.
I look at it as a way to advertise a council position that's gonna be open.
I wonder if January is not a good time frame. After the Thanksgiving, Christmas, and it's a new year,
It's a way to discuss what's coming up for the new year.
maybe we're working on it's 2020.
Yeah.
And we go first or second meeting in January.
How many people you gonna draw in January though, with the cold? I'm trying, cause we've had two, haven't we, Teresa? And I don't recall it being cold, I think it was spring, summer, or fall,
yeah.
and there were a lot of people.
Our median age is 32 in Hartford.
Travis, can I speak to that?
Sure, absolutely.
I
Come
get
on up,
that that's
Sandy.
really great, but
Sandy,
you
come
know,
on up. Come on up.
You're too
Oh,
far
I'm
away for me
sorry.
to hear.
uh,
Chuck can hear you, but I can't.
yeah, that median age thing, what that means is you got a whole lot of old people and a whole lot of little kids and a few people at 31.5 years old, which brings us back to, you know, who are we trying to appeal to?
I disagree, I don't think it's the
But,
average.
you know,
But my interpretation of median is correct, it's not average.
well, but that's, you get, how do you get to a median?
That's a different number.
How do you get to a median?
I just think
median, I
just think we're off topic, so.
questions.
I had to look it up after, I actually had to look it up after I saw that, because I was thinking it was the average as well, but I think there's a lot of people in the meat in the middle there.
Well, I'm not saying
Maybe it just happens to be the
lot,
average,
but I don't know that
the
that's.
fact that it's men and women both, 32 32. We're the only community that I noticed that in, which is kind of unusual. Anyway,
Alright,
So the two
Well-
prior community meetings we had, just for your information, one was in September and one was in May.
Must be
Not that it-
September and May.
Yeah. Not that Israel. The September one was our first one, and that was the biggest draw, I think we had.
At the community information night,
Yeah.
yeah, that was 300 plus.
Was that at the school?
No, it was at the
That
fire
was-
station.
Okay.
Do you feel like we would be unfair to our senior citizens if we had it in January?
You would with me, I'd be in Texas.
Smart man.
Fair enough. We're gonna miss some snowbirds, that is what you're
I already
saying.
said it's no
Can I speak to that? The senior citizens have bingo every Thursday night at 6:45 PM. They show up to bingo at 6:45 PM every Thursday night.
You're wrong. Fair enough.
We should offer bingo that night.
alright, well, I don't know if we need a motion or not, but if we're looking at general direction, I
think we should do it.
Yeah. Is there anything pressing that comes up in January that I'm not thinking of as far as New Year things that we need to make sure that we don't have? And we can run it as a special council meeting, I mean, it's not like we have to have it, but maybe what we'll do is come back with more information and a proposal for an agenda and a couple of dates.
I know, I like that.
I think that's what we'll do.
I got this right.
Alright, anything for correspondence? Okay, otherwise I'll look for a motion to go into executive session for legal and personnel.
I'll move, or second, whichever. Give me one.
All in favor?
It's been bad, not a fun.
Alright, our regular session.
Make a motion to terminate Park and Rec Director position no later than October 4th, 2019.
Second.
Alright, discussion? Full vote. Brennan? Yep. Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Nelson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?